Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, the latest, they were in court while you were away. I know you get to have vacations, but boy, were you missed. First of all, Ryan Reynolds did not show up to court with Blake. Justin's wife showed up hand in hand with him. Ryan, nowhere to be seen. What do you make of that, Rob?
It's really telling. They have figured out now that Ryan is a liability, not an asset. Whoever thought would say that? Like, Ryan Reynolds, one of the biggest stars in the world, very, very sure of himself. He thinks very highly of himself.
He really does think highly of himself.
He does. He thinks he's a genius.
He burned down your elementary school and get away with it. I guess you would have a high impression of oneself.
I forgot about that. You forget about nothing. You forget nothing, my friend.
No, I would like to think that the nerve has had a little something to do with Ryan's popularity fading and Paramount cutting him loose from 3 features.
Well, I know you've had a lot to do with my popularity rising, so thank you for that. So it does work either way. Thank you. But yeah, Ryan wasn't there. It was a strategic decision. In the same way, Justin Baldoni turned up with his wife, which I think was a really good look for somebody who's accused of abuse towards women, to turn up hand in hand with his beautiful wife and to really be caring about each other. I noticed that she got out of the car and he was very attentive. He made sure she got into the court. Blake rocked up like she was a movie star. She rocked up like
furious.
She's furious to be there. She doesn't want to be there. She had a team with her. She arrived as if it was a movie premiere, and she was ushered into this really sort of dingy courthouse. I don't know if you've been down there recently. I was down for the Diddy trial. It's not a really glamorous, it's not a movie star place. And she likes movie stars. She likes nice plush carpets. And I would imagine she's the type of celebrities who has to have an all white green room and flowers and all this special stuff. You ain't getting that downtown. So it was much better. It was much better for Justin, and just knowing the process of going through this. He's a much more down to earth, regular type of guy. And if you want to get some candy out of a machine in the hallway, that's the type of place it is. Blake does not roll like that. I've seen her out for dinners. I've seen her out in New York. She lives really, really high. In fact, we saw in her emails, used to joke that her apartment in New York was Buckingham Palace, was a place that she called Buckingham Palace. So, but Ryan wasn't there. You know, there was some speculation. I knew it wouldn't happen, but if Taylor Swift was going to use her power, if she was going to use her clemency, if she was going to use her trump card, I would have loved to have seen them get out that car together. Taylor's having no part of this. And so my favorite reporting, though, from the whole situation was Page Six, who said that her driver turned up with a board game because she got bored. So there was nothing for her to do in the morning. If you've ever been to these courthouses, you sit around for hours and hours and hours doing very little. She has a personal mahjong collection. And so her driver was spotted slipping in through the side entrance to bring her board game.
These people can't help themselves. I read that report about Blake sending her driver to go get her personal mahjong set, which apparently, according to Page Six, cost $500 or something. To me, that's her J-Lo moment. Remember when J-Lo got arrested with Diddy in that nightclub shooting, and the cops put her in an interrogation room and she said, "Go get me cuticle cream." And they did. Fucking morons. Okay, now, what do you make, by the way, of the reports? This was your report also, that Blake is a no on the wedding list. No, it's over.
Yeah, it's no. So the invitations are out. I had 2 sources that tell me that, and then Graham Norton, who's a friend of hers, is actually in her music video, her new video. He confirmed it. He said he has got his invitation, and so we know that now the invitations are out. Blake did not get an invite. She is not going. And what's going to make her more angry is this is not a small wedding. If you're inviting people who are on TV, who you barely know, they're sort of like showbizy friends, they're not real friends. If this was a wedding of 15 people, of 20 people at some private estate, if this was a small family and friends wedding, I get it. I'm not on the inner circle. But if you're starting to invite Jimmy Fallon, if you're starting to invite Graham
Stephen
Norton,
Colbert is on the list.
He's on the list. So if you're inviting these people, this is going to be a big celebrity wedding, a big over-the-top wedding. I know the invites are out, but when I say the invites, it's not actually a lot of details yet. It's a date, it's a location, but not the actual name of the venue. And you have to get this. an NDA to get
Of course.
the information.
Rob, are you hearing anything out of Montecito about Meghan Markle reportedly, allegedly has been inviting herself to all manner of events, whether it's a Balenciaga show or a shitty gala in LA? Do you think she's going to try to score an invite to Taylor's wedding?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. She would love to be there. She'd love to be the new Blake Lively. Meghan, like, this new video that she put out with little Lilibet's face, we finally get to see Lilibet after the two of them lecturing us for a really long time about privacy. And now their children are very much part of brand Sussex. I'm told too that she's doubled down with Kris Jenner. We know they are close friends. We knew they were friends, but after the birthday party and after Kim revealed why Meghan was at that big party, and Kim said, we didn't really know her. It's mom's friend. So we know Kris Jenner and Meghan are close. Meghan is going to follow the Kris Jenner playbook here, which worked for Kris. It probably won't work for anybody else, but it worked for a minute. So I'd expect to see a lot more of the children and a lot more of events. I think just a few nights ago, for some reason, we spotted Harry and Meghan at an NBA game in California. Yeah, she's back. I think this year is going to be, at least in her mind, the revival, the renaissance, the resurrection of the Sussexes. Good luck. I think that sounds lovely, but my question would be how and why? Like, what are you doing that's going to make this year any different from the last year? They like the glitz, they like the glam, they like the show business. They're not going to do any work.
Of course not. It's interesting you say that. We had Kinsey Schofield on yesterday's Nerve, and she said that Meghan's astrologer has told her that 2026 is her year. And by the way, and so she believes it. But by the way, to your earlier point about morning television and then Meghan dropping this photo of Lily on Instagram, talk about really think through how much of your life and who in it you want to make public. Because those kids, I'm sorry to say it, they're targets. They're targets. You know, you're going to show their faces. I thought this was why you left the royal family. You didn't want to do the post-labor delivery. I got to show the baby on the steps. It's too invasive. It's just a baby. Keep the baby private. It's an innocent little creature. No, not if you can commodify it.
No, yeah. Today's the baby issue with Hoda. I want to spend time with my children. What happened to that?
She also put on the cover of People magazine.
She did
when she was whole new Hoda, when she left today to go launch Joy 101. Those are really little kids.
They're little
maybe
kids.
don't splay them on the cover of People magazine.
Yeah, I have insight into it. I used to be the executive editor of OK when it launched here in America, and we would pay millions of dollars to shoot your baby. We shot Tori Spelling's baby. We shot Matthew McConaughey's baby. We did Diddy's twins without the mother. It was just Diddy. He didn't want the mom in it. It was
Doesn't
like
that say everything?
He birthed them, it looked like on this picture. And so it's such a fascinating model that doesn't really exist anymore as far as the magazines are concerned, because now celebrities that want this attention, want this money, they do it themselves on Instagram, on social media. You got to be careful. Like, I think after Kim Kardashian was brutally attacked, tied up in Paris after really flaunting her wealth.
And where she was in the world at any given time.
Yeah, I think, you take a second about it. I used to love, it doesn't exist anymore, but Gawker Stalker, this website that was so tricky that it used to do where celebrities were. And I think there was a delay in it. So by the time that they actually posted where they were, it was 20 minutes ago. But these phones tell us everything. They know where we are, our Instagram. Celebrities, I find so interesting because when we interview them, they're terribly private and they won't give us any information. Then after the interview, I look on their phone and they've spilt the beans for free for the entire world. And so Meghan posted this picture. It's a really big deal. It's a really big deal. And it's something that's really interesting because Harry did not want this. I've been reporting on this for years. They're now, 4 years old? And I think one is 6 or 7. Harry had a really tricky upbringing. He had no choice in this. From the day he was born, he was a star. Meghan wasn't. Meghan fought her whole life to be famous. So they have a different relationship with fame. It's something that he got for free and didn't want, tried to push it back to a certain extent. It's something that she desperately wanted. Being famous was one of her priorities, and she did it. I tip my hat to her. She became one of the most famous people in the world. She wants this for her kids. She doesn't want the life that Harry, she doesn't want that private life. And guess who's won? He has bowed down to her. I read some reporting while I was in the UK about this too. And they they were sort of giving Harry a pass, but he was in that photograph. She didn't sneak a picture of her
He's
kids.
holding
He's
her.
holding
He's
her.
holding her.
He's aware the picture's being taken.
God, he's
And
such a
then she posted
beta male, just wimp, sad sack of a man-child.
How do you feel, Maureen?
It's just no. It's just like he was just in court in the UK, crying on the stand about how the media has made his and his wife's life a living hell. And then what do? They turn around and they go on Instagram and show the profile. Like, as I've said before, this is how you know Meghan is worried that her fame and relevance is slipping. We will see the children. She's doling it out in bite sizes like it's a big tease, and it's really effed up. It's so dark.
It's dark.
It's so dark.
Dark. And it's particularly in a moment in America when somebody's mom is missing, potentially because of fame.
Yes.
Because of fame. And this is not the moment. It's not the moment. They're tone deaf. They always do this, don't they? When they went partying on Remembrance Weekend with their poppies and they wanted Kim to delete those pictures, just stay home. You don't have to do this. Nobody contractually wanted or needed Meghan to release an image on Valentine's Day. I think she does this because she gets very competitive with William and Kate.
Yes.
Who release images. And so she put out a picture, which I thought was odd too. It was just her daughter and her husband, and the caption sort of tagged on Archie, sort of like an afterthought. And so
is Lily the golden child, and is Archie the redheaded quote unquote stepchild? Is Archie not as good looking as Meghan would like?
It could be, Maureen. It could be. There's only one child in that picture, maybe two if you count Harry.
But, very good point.
but I thought like it would be like my Valentine's, my three loves. No, it's her daughter, her husband, and a plus one who's Archie. Even that was weird. Everything they do is odd.
You know, it's like it's not dissimilar to the Kardashians, where the brother Rob Kardashian is the one in the basement. Like the Olsen twins, you know, the rumor back when they were like really, really like famous actors was like there was an Olsen twin in the basement, like a triplet that was like it was like a malformed birth.
That's what it feels a little bit like here. They're going to see these little people grow up, and they are going to see this. I was just back in Britain vacationing. It was my mum's 90th birthday. She's a big fan of yours, Maureen. So I was back with my mum for her 90th birthday, and we there's five of us. There's five kids, and so we took a family picture, but we didn't realise one of us had to take the picture, and none of us wanted to take it because we wanted to be in the picture. And so when I saw that picture of Meghan without Archie, I was like, did Archie take this picture? No, Meghan took the picture because she's not in it. She should have pushed Archie in. Once again, everything they do. And let's just remember, Harry in a couple of weeks has his privacy summit where he's been paid $50,000 to talk about privacy. Privacy can no longer be their brand. It just can't be the brand. You know what? No. We make fun a lot of the Kardashians, but what I love about Kris and the Kardashians, they are brutally honest about who they are. They want your money. They want your likes. They want to sell you rubbish. They're honest about it. Kim has said, I have no talent. I have no talent. Meghan isn't in on the joke. She's not in on the joke.
You are so right about that. Before we run out of time, I've got to get to some exclusive reporting you had that just set my hair back. Bethenny Frankel on a downward spiral. She is not, for years, being outrageous worked. It got headlines, steals attention. Now it's getting pushed back. There is industry fatigue, you report. One source saying the shock factor isn't converting like it once did. What is going on at Bethenny's?
Yeah, Bethenny's never met a bridge that she hasn't burned. Everything Bethenny touches, she blows up. She just blows everything up. She even blew up her friendship with Hoda. Hoda and Bethenny were once, makes perfect sense.
I didn't know that. I didn't know they were friends.
I went on a dinner with the two of them once. They became really close friends. In fact, Bethenny introduced Hoda to one of her boyfriends.
Really?
Yeah, so they were that close.
Well, Bethenny used to do the Today Show a fair bit,
all the time,
right?
And now she's banned, I think. They
Why?
would say that's not true.
Do you know?
Because she blew up Bravo. Bravo is NBC.
Oh, right.
So Bravo is owned by NBC. And she did threaten legal action. And when you do that against an employer, you're probably not going to be welcome back. Mm-hmm. So Bethenny has had this brand where she was really rewarded for it. And she was really quite good at it, as just causing trouble, of just being a nightmare, of just being very entertaining with with it, which is great on reality TV. When you take it off the TV and you start doing that in the boardroom, in meetings, Bravo is sick of Bethenny Frankel. She'll never, ever be back on Bravo. She'll never be on NBC. She had her own talk show with Ellen as her best friend. They no longer speak. And so Bethenny, we saw it a little bit on the Real Housewives. She fell out with everybody on that show. Jill Zarin, she fell out. She was best friends with Carol Radziwill, and they fell out. So Bethenny tortures everybody. I've known her personally for a long time. She burnt me too. She's burnt several of my friends. And so it's finally the chickens are coming home to roost. And Bethenny now is not getting the attention. She's not making the money. She got to be careful though, because I don't know where else there is for her to go. And so she's firing off all these messages on social media, and they seem to be more unhinged. It has a very Britney Spears type feel to it. If you watch Bethenny's TikToks, her social media, she feels unraveling. And so I hit the phones and I said, what's going on with Bethenny? They said she's spiraling. And I think too, it's no coincidence that there's going to be like a reboot of The Housewives on E! E! Has taken the original cast.
Yes.
Bethany's not in it.
Bethany's not in it. Two things. One, I also think part of Bethany's problem is her content creation on social media, most especially on Instagram, is all about her wealth.
Yes.
She's always in her closet going, here are my collection of Hermes Birkin bags that cost $100,000 per. Yes. And you know what? I'm sick of them now, and I'm getting rid of them because I'm just so sick of them. I have so much. And you're just like, I like, what hole are you trying to fill that will never be filled with Birkin bags? Right. You know, and jewelry and designer clothes and all these designer trips. She posted the other day, Aspen for a minute, you know, like, I'm so wealthy I can just hop in my private jet and go to Aspen for a minute and show off all the fur. And like, it's disgusting.
It's really annoying. But when you've built a career, when you've been rewarded for bad behavior, which is what Bravo has done for years, it makes me laugh. Whenever Bravo's PR people or push back with me saying, you know, Andy's just a family man. He's just a good guy. He's a daddy. I'm always like, you have made a fortune as a network, destroying people, literally pulling them through the mud. Your whole brand is about women ripping down women. That's Bethenny's brand. And it was really fun 5 or 6 years ago. Now we've moved on and Bethenny hasn't. She's stuck. She's absolutely stuck, and she is floundering and she is spiraling. And instead of looking in the mirror and figuring out, you got to find some happiness with yourself, Bethenny, which she'll never do, she's going to keep being Bethenny. Not working.
She really got lucky with Skinny Girl. There's nothing else in that tank. There's no other idea in that brain. That's it. That's it. She'll never get over it either. Because she'll never be able to replicate it. Last item before we let you go, to Bethenny's one-time compatriot in Real Housewives of New York, Jill Zarin, who was supposed to be part of this reboot of the really beloved original New York City cast. Yeah. That was lightning in a bottle. And then she made some very ill-advised comments about Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime show. She got axed from there, but apparently your reporting is she's just as upset, if not more so, that she's being iced out of the Hamptons quote-unquote social scene this summer.
Yeah, a couple of things here. I find this story so interesting. And so I used to talk to Jill every day when she was on The Housewives. She was the loosest lipped. Her and Bethenny were the ones that did all the talking. They were friends with all the columnists. And I quite enjoyed her. She made me laugh in ways. She was so outrageous and pushy. And I enjoyed her a great deal. However, she's a very difficult person. So I was told even before her comments, even before she posted, he had sort of had it with her. She demanded that they couldn't film before 10 a.m. She demanded that she be in charge of the storylines. She demanded that she gets approval. So she was already on thin ice. And this was, I think, an excuse to get rid of a bad apple, no pun intended. And so now that this has happened, the Hamptons, which used to tolerate her, they used to like her sort of brassiness, her new money. They thought she was quite funny. That hasn't happened anymore. She's barely in the Hamptons now. She's in Boca a lot of the time. But the invites have dried up. Suddenly in the Hamptons, you don't get barred from restaurants, but if you try to get a reservation, we're suddenly full. And so Jill is getting pushed back. And that might hurt her more than actually getting kicked off the show. She loved being Miss Meddler, Miss Matchmaker of the Hamptons. And she was like,
it was like her identity.
It was the Yenta of the Hamptons. It was very fiddly. Yeah. And so, Jill put a foot in her mouth. It sort of, breaks my heart. She said it was a mistake and she wished she hadn't done it, but she was just too much trouble. And E is very different from Bravo. E is a network now that's owned by the same people as MSNBC. So there's going to be a political element now.
Oh, it's spun off?
It's spun off.
Oh, I didn't know it spun off. Okay.
Spun off. So they didn't keep E. So when Peacock broke up, they kept Bravo, they kept NBC, they kept Peacock. E now is with MSNBC.
They're stripping that thing for parts, Rob. E! News is like going to die this year. It's going away. They're not going to replace it with anything.
They're not going to replace it with anything. And I had a few friends that did red carpet reporting for E! You weren't allowed to ask questions that were not pre-approved by publicists. It's a very, very delicate, very nervous, very, very fragile network. And those are not words that you think about when you think about The Real Housewives. Trust me, Maureen, this show's never going to air. They haven't even started taping it yet. And there's so many problems. They hired the wrong show for the wrong network. If you hire Housewives, you get sloppy. You want sloppy. That's what you should really aim for. They want it to be a version of the Golden Girls. They're going to move the ladies out of New York.
Oh, that's so stupid.
They're moving them to Florida.
Are you serious?
I swear, the show's not even going to be shot in New York. It's called The Golden Life. They can't
Stop.
They can't get the headline. They can't get the Real Housewife umbrella brand because it's owned by Bravo. So their genius idea is let's put a bunch of 60-year-old ladies in a home together in Florida, and that's what the premise of
What a bastardization. What a crappy idea. This is why Hollywood is dying. It's afraid of things. It should be moving into the more nervy parts of these housewives are out of their minds in the best possible way. My favorite celebrity friendship of recent memory. Do you know that Tilda Swinton is such a fan of Countess Luann?
Luann! I love. For a minute, I'd walk around town with them. And it was like being with the Beatles. It was lightning in a bottle. They were in on the joke. It was funny. Times change, and these ladies are finding it really hard to move on. I also know, too, that they were earning really good money on Bravo, $300,000-$400,000 a season. E! Ain't paying that. If E's
no
paying
way.
40, they're not paying it. So they're not doing it for the money. They're doing it for the fame. And nobody, maybe Bethenny, but Jill and Bethenny are almost opposite sides of the same coin. Poor Jill wanted this more than anybody. And once again, she's put her foot in her mouth, which I think is what makes her great TV.
That's Jill's problem, though, in a nutshell. Jill will never let herself be really successful. She is always her own worst enemy, and she always does the thing that is so obvious not to do. Now, but I got to ask you one more thing, and then I promise I will let you go. What are you hearing about former Real Housewife of New York, former BFF of Bethenny Frankel, Carol Radziwill, who I have noticed has been written out of the JFK Jr. Carolyn Bessette love story. Her husband who died of cancer, some guy who she married who died of cancer, he's in it. But Carol is not.
She's not. And I think the Kennedys, I think that's how they think about her too. It's not just the TV show. Carol always inflated her sense of this story. She married a man on his deathbed and took the name and held on to it.
And the title, Princess.
And they're always a little cautious around her. The few Kennedy circle that I know don't really seem to know who she is. And so after that show, if they did know who she was, after that show, they would dump her. They didn't want anything to do with the Housewives. But I don't think they cared because she doesn't know that much about it. Now, she's made a living out of that, though. She is a Radziwill. She uses the name very, very glamorously, almost like it's a Sussex type of name. She wants that title. Her first book was a success because it was a Kennedy book. It wasn't.
And it was written by somebody else, allegedly, reportedly. I have it on good authority. It may not have been a ghostwriter that one really hires.
Right. But and guess who took the photograph on the cover of the book?
I know exactly who you're going to say. I'll let you do it.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Carol's in some real shit now.
Yeah, they were close. Like Carol pretends, I just bumped into her at a party. I don't really know her. She took the photograph, the very intimate photograph that you liked so much.
A book photo, when you choose, you know this now that you're an author, when you choose the person who takes your author photo, that is a very big decision you make.
Big decision.
For many reasons. And one of the things that you really need to do with that photographer is like them. Because if you're not used to getting your photo taken, I mean, you've been on media forever, but like it can be a very awkward thing. It can take an hour or two to just loosen up. So you've got to have a rapport with that person.
I'll let you take mine, Maureen, but I don't want to either. I don't like having a selfie taken. Like, it's just not my thing. Carol and Ghislaine Maxwell, I'm told, were like, quote, sisters. They were that close. And so Carol now is hiding too. She's not doing this reboot. I think for a minute she was sucking back up to Andy and trying to be friends with him. That's cooled. That was cooled off too. And so, oh, what a den of iniquity. What a bunch of motley characters we know.
Who keep us, like, just the content just keeps coming like a tsunami, Rob. We'll never be out of work. Today's show is brought to you by Oxford Natural, home of the all-natural Optimum Day and Optimum Night supplements. Are you trying to lose weight and feel like yourself again? Thousands of men and women across the US and UK are already doing it with Oxford Natural. Optimum Day powers you with steady energy, crushes cravings, and keeps your metabolism firing all day. Optimum Night helps you relax, sleep deeply, recover, and keep burning fat while you rest. England's soccer legend Michael Owen lost 40 pounds, and Robbie, the face of AFTV, dropped over 100 pounds. It's worked for others too, with customer testimonials raving about Oxford Natural's effectiveness. Now, it's your turn. Scan the QR code or click the link and grab 70% off. 70% off your first order with code NERVE. No gimmicks, no needles, just results. Oxford Natural. Let's get to work.